Hi guys, welcome to Jumpstart Code. This is Pam, and this video series is going to lead you through building a little matching game or concentration game in JavaScript. Let me show you what it's going to look like. The theme of my game is Star Wars, and so the way it works, if I start the game here, we are clicking to try to match pictures, right? So there's a match, and you can see that there is a timer that is keeping track of how long it takes you to get through the game. And we have a lot of different pictures here, and I thought it was kind of fun. I'm a Star Wars fan, and so this was something that I had an idea to do, and I worked through it. So I want to help you guys understand how this works and how to do it. All right, so let's get started. And this is going to be a series of videos. So the first thing that you should do is to make sure and always create a directory, a project directory. So I have a directory here called Match Game. Right now, what is in it is a folder with all of my pictures. Now, I may just make a separate video to talk about this, but you just need to get whatever clip art, whatever pictures you want. You can see that I have them all sized to 100 by 100, so you want them to all be the same size. I have a picture for my back image, and since I'm using a 4x4 grid, that means I have 8 pairs of matches. So that means I need at least 8 images, but I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So you can have more, and as we walk through this code, we'll talk about how basically each time I start a game, it is going to pick randomly 8 of these images as the images to use in the game. So that's the first thing to do, is get a directory set up with those images. Now I'm going to start my editor. The editor that I'm using is brackets, and we're going to start writing some code. So I want to open my folder that I'm working on, which is on my desktop in my projects match game. Right now the only thing that's in it is the picture directory. So let's add a new file. Save as index.html. Now, I have this HTML already previously done, and I'm going to just copy it and then talk through what it is. It's actually not that complicated because it is basically, if I start from what's going on with the images, I have 4 rows, 4 sets of 4 images each. And you'll see that I have given them each a unique ID from 0 to 15, because that is going to actually correspond to positions in an array that's going to have the pictures in it. Then before it, there's a div that just has the text, how fast can you match, and the button is there. And then at the very bottom, I need a place to put my clock and any messages. And so there's an H2 down here that has a span that I can identify to put messages, and another span that I can identify to put clock. Now, there's a little bit of styling that we want to do. So let's go set up. You can see that there is a link to a styles.css. So let's make a new folder. a new file, and save as styles.css. Let's start with just a background color, just to make sure that things are connected. I'm going to use this light cyan, so I'll know that this is a different one. So let's go ahead and just try to get set up here. So this is the folder that we're working on. And if I open with Google, all right, so here's what we see. How fast can you match in the button and nothing else? But we know that my CSS is connected because I'm getting this background color, but I'm not getting anything else because I don't have any images associated with these image tags. So we're going to be setting that up in our JavaScript. All right. Now, my JavaScript is looking for a file called match.js. So let me create that folder. And I'm going to save as match.js. I always use strict, and I'm going to set up an alert to make sure that this file is connected. Make sure I don't have typos. Save all, refresh. All right, so this page is connected. Now I want to do just a little bit more CSS. I'm going to use a font family of cursive. And if you see over here in the HTML, I have all of this content in one big div called main. And so I am going to use a flex layout here. So main, I'm going to display flex. Flex direction is going to be column. Justify content is going to be centered. Align items is going to be center. Right? And I'm going to style my button, and I'm just going to copy all this over. You can see I gave it a different font size, a cursor, align the text, background color, some padding, some margin. This is what rounds the colors. And I also need to make sure, you see I have it as display inline because I want this text and this button to be on the same line, and normally they are block display. So I have display inline here, and I need to also add from my H1 display inline. And you'll see the difference that we now have the button on the same line as this. All right, now we need pictures. So let's go start on some JavaScript. All right, so over in my JavaScript, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to need a few variables. I'm going to need a variable. I'm going to call it choices. And this is going to be an array that will represent the pictures that are on my page. And then I need all my picture files that are available. So I've just copied this over. These are all the different images. We're going to end up picking 8 of them randomly to display on the page. But the first thing we want to do is just display the back image. So that means I need to add an event listener when the page loads. So document, add event listener, DOM content loaded. Pay attention to what's capitalized and what's not. That's very important. I'm going to set up an arrow function here because this is just a one-time thing. And I want to add an event listener to my button. Anytime I click the start button, I'm going to restart my game. So document get element by ID is called restart. Add event listener. Click. When I click, I'm going to call a function that I'm about to write called start game. And make sure and close this. All right. And also, after we do this, the very first time we'll want to start the game. And so we'll call that function. Now, let's set up start game. All I want to put in it right now is just an alert, or actually we'll use console log to make sure that it's working. Start game, and I'm going to say console log start. So this is a good place to stop and test. So when the page loads, we're going to set up this listener for the start button, and we are going to start the game. And anytime we click start game, we will get that. So let's make sure and save, and make sure and refresh the page. Let's inspect and open the console so we can see what's going on. And let's reload the page, and you'll see we see start here. And if I click the button, we see start. So now I know that when the page loads, it will go to whatever code is here, and when we restart the game, it goes there. So what do we want to happen when the game starts? So one of the first things we want to do is set up the pictures. So show the back image. So we need a loop because we have 16 of these that we need to do. Let I equal 0, I less than 16, I plus plus. And so when I is 0, I want to do something and reference this image that has an ID of 0. But you see this ID is a string. So I need sort of the string version of this number. So I'm going to say let ID equals I.toString. So just to show you what's going on there, if I log that, we will see, save all, refresh. You see we've got all those different IDs, and we're not seeing quotes around them, but they are considered a string. So ID is a string. So now I can use that, and I'm going to have to do a couple things with this. So I'm going to make a constant, my image equals document.getElement by ID. This is just because I need to use it twice, and I don't want to type it over and over again. So now I want to show the back image picture. So my image dot source is equal to pics dot back dot png. Now this is enough to stop and see if things are working. So save all, refresh the page, and there we go. Now we want to put a little styling. Let's put a border around our images. So I'm going to go over here to my styles, and all of my images I want to give a border. We'll make them 2 pixels, solid black. Okay, so we can see that what we've done is when the page loads, we start the game. What the game is doing, I don't need this log right now, is using this to assign a picture to each one. Now the other thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to be able to click those pictures. So I need to add a click handler to each image. So my image, that's why we set it up in a variable, add event listener. When you click it, I'm going to call a method called checkMatch, a function. So now let's go down here and set up checkMatch. CheckMatch is going to get a parameter, which is which one of those elements actually triggered it. So that is a parameter called event. And what we can do to see this, we can console log event.target. That's the actual element .id. And we should be able to see then which one has been clicked. So let's save all, refresh, and do you see here, if I click this one, I got 15. If I click here, 5. So this is 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, this is 10. So 10. So what we now know is that we have associated a click handler with each one of these. I'm going to just comment out this console log, and then it'll be a little easier to see what's going on. Save all. All right, so 0 was clicked, 7 was clicked, 15 was clicked, 8 was clicked. So we now know that we have an association between those. So in the next video, we will continue from this point. But right now we have a very good start because we have our grid, we have our back images, and we have click events associated with each one of those. And that has, both of those things have happened in this loop, in this for loop. All right, stay tuned to the next video.